order in the High Court. Of course, viewers, they have all rights to do this. But nonetheless, listen in.
अंजुमन इंतजामिया मस्जिद उस ऑर्डर के खिलाफ ऑनरेबल हाई कोर्ट जाएगी फॉर अर्लीस्ट। उन्होंने ऑर्डर ये किया है कि उनका कहना है कि जो वापस विवादित संपत्ति है जो मस्जिद का के नीचे दक्षिणी तहखाना है उसके अंदर जो उनका कहना है कि जो मूर्तियां हैं उसमें उसकी पूजा पाठ के लिए डीएम साहब जो को इंतजाम कराएं, जबकि उसके अंदर कोई मूर्ति नहीं है। और जो रिपोर्ट अभी आई एसआई की उसमें भी कहीं नहीं लिखा हुआ है कि दक्षिणी तहखाने में कोई मूर्ति पाई गई है।
Viewers, let's open this up. Let's ask some basic questions. These obstacles are falling because they are hollow. They are hollow, they have no substance, they have no legal tenability. The question is then, why were they put up in the first place? We'll get into that deeper question in just a few moments, but I want to first speak to the man of the moment, Vishnu Shankar Jain, who's there with us. Vishnuji, thank you very much for speaking to me this evening. Congratulations to you. You seem to have hit a purple patch, winning one favorable order after the other. And this is absolutely spectacular. Now, there is a very striking similarity here. The arc, as I said, is following very much the Ayodhya arc, the Ayodhya dispute arc. Can you elaborate on this, Vishnu Shankar Jain? How is it that these things are so seemingly intertwined?
See, because you have asked a very, very important question. In Ram Mandir case, on 1st of February 1986, Honorable Mr. Justice K.M. Pandey, the District Judge of Faizabad, had ordered for opening of locks, and that became the turning point of that case. And today I see the order passed by the Honorable District Court of Varanasi on the same footing. Today's order is a landmark, and I must tell you why. The reason is this, that as you have mentioned in your opening comments, that the Vyas Parivar was doing puja in the cellar, not from today, from time immemorial in that cellar, in that taikhana, and it is only in November 1993 and December 1993, a state government, and let me tell you with lot of sense of authority, without any written orders, ousted the Vyas Parivar from that cellar in violation of section 3 of the Places of Worship Act. And it was from past 31 years, the puja and the possession which was with the Vyas Parivar was stopped illegally by a particular state government. So today that illegal act has been rectified on the judicial side by the Honorable District Court of Varanasi. The Honorable District Court of Varanasi has directed the Kashi Vishwanath Trust to start puja and darshan there. Apart from that, the court has also directed the district magistrate to comply with the orders within 7 days after making changes in the iron fencing right in front of Nandi, the Nandi Bhagwan which is situated in the new temple complex. Right in front of Nandi Bhagwan, the Vyas Parivar Taikhana is there, in which puja was happening, and the court has directed that after making changes in the iron fencing, that puja must start. And I was hearing to the lawyer of the masjid side, he was saying that no idols were found. In the ASI report, a complete list is there of the idols which were found from cellar S2. Please note this, from cellar S2 idols were found. Cellar S2 is the same cellar which is of Vyas Parivar, and those idols could have been destroyed. So therefore we took orders from the Honorable District Court, and all those idols are in safe custody of the district administration. So the court has directed all those idols to be put there and puja must start. Yes.
Now Vishnu Shankar Jain, you've obviously based your entire case on some irrefutable evidence, and the evidence suggests that this place was the site of a great desecration, of a great crime. Do you find today a willingness, generally speaking, from the other side that you are contesting, to accept the facts, or do you still find that they are continually coming up with newer obstacles? And what do you make of that?
No, I find that there will be no sign of conciliation from the Masjid Committee. It will be a dream situation for all of us if the Masjid Committee gives up their claim and takes a decent exit from this place. but I don't think that it's going to happen. As you have heard the lawyer for the Masjid Committee, they are going to challenge this order before the Allahabad High Court as well as before the Supreme Court, and they are welcome to do so, and we will also welcome them before the Allahabad High Court and the Supreme Court. And if you will see the facts of this case also, when in the Wazoo Tank area, the sealed area, when the Allahabad High Court passed an order for ASI survey on 12th of May 2023, the Masjid Committee went to the Supreme Court and the Honorable Supreme Court stayed the proceedings on 19th May 2023. So it is, I don't think that they are ready to give up their claim. They will also fight till the last court of this country, and we will also fight. We have a very strong case on merits, and today, after seeing the merits of this case, this order has been passed. And one very important fact I also want to narrate, Rahul, that they had a complete intention to capture this cellar. It is with this intention that we had filed this case. On 17th of January 2024, the District Court of Varanasi directed the District Magistrate Varanasi to take over the possession of this cellar, and a few days back on 23rd, 24th of January, the District Administration took over the possession of this cellar, and after that we asked for rights to puja and worship, which has been allowed today.
Okay, let me now bring in two other individuals. Dr. Ranganathan, of course, needs no introduction, but I want to first quickly segue into Mr. Kamru Chaudhary and ask him a couple of sharp questions. Mr. Chaudhary, the party with which you are in alliance with today, the Samajwadi Party, changed the character of the religious place of this Gyanvapi complex by barring Hindus. Till date, the Congress party has not condemned this violation. Now, after this court order, do you believe that a grave injustice was committed upon Hindus?
Yeah, absolutely. A grave injustice was committed when in 1947 the founding fathers of the nation had given a solemn promise to the minorities, rather I will be very clear, the Muslims of this country, that you are free to practice and preach, observe your religion, propagate your religion without any fear and coercion from any side. Let me just cite you one small example. I hope you will not interfere before I come to my argument. Today early morning in Mehrauli, the police went and demolished the Jinnatwali Masjid and the Dargah Akhunji, detained the Imam of the mosque and demolished an 800-year-old mosque. Was that a disputed one? And Hemanta Biswa Sharma abolished the Madrasa Board of Assam, a 100-year-old board of Assam. What did he say? That I do not want Mia votes, indicating I do not want Muslim votes. Now you come to the moot point out here. Whether the law of the land decides in which way it is acceptable to all of us. Gyanvapi Masjid remains a masjid, or Gyanvapi Masjid becomes a Gyanvapi temple. It all depends on the law of the land, and we are all duty bound to accept the verdict, whatever it is going to come. But on a daily basis, if these reports coming out that Baba mil gaye and you find idols inside the Tehkana, or Vyas family is being returned the rights of puja, and you creating a majoritarian opinion among the people of the country. Rahul, that's what my objection is.
But you said that you accept.
Does not lie. No, okay. Rahul, please, let me finish. Very important question tonight. Whether Vishnu Jain and his side wins it, or whether the Masjid Committee wins it, is immaterial for me. What is material for me is the solemn promise that was made in 1947 to the Muslims, that your places of worship, your culture, your customs will be protected in a secular India.
Okay,
when Vishnu Jain says,
I understand.
When Vishnu Jain says that the greatest problem to the Gyanvapi Masjid issue is from the secularists, I heard his statement. What does he mean by that? Hindus form a majority, minorities are there in the country as equal citizen.
I understand what you're saying. I think everyone is understood. That's why I said quick counter question, and then I want to bring in Dr. Ranganathan. Just 30 seconds, Dr. Ranganathan, my time to beg your indulgence. 30 seconds.
And Rahul,
no, 1 second. Mr. Chaudhary, you say that Muslim culture. Excuse me.
10 more seconds.
Okay, Mr. Chaudhary, please. Now, you've said what you had to say. Now, afterthoughts will keep trickling in, but that's okay. I just hope that what you said was not an afterthought, because I just want to ask you very simply this. You said that preservation of Muslim culture, this, that, traditions, etc. Obviously, there is no threat to those. Tell me what culture justifies, and you yourself have said, you have admitted that these particular mosques that were built on demolished Hindu temples, which is quite clear it was, hold no religious significance because they are not kosher in the first place. So what are you hanging on to? I can't understand. Do you want to preserve the site of a supremacist Hindu?
Yes.
I can't understand. Do you want to preserve that as a memory, as some sort of badge of honor कि हमने हिंदुओं के मस्जिद temple तोड़ दिए?
Rahul, you tell me who built the Vishwanath temple?
No, I'm
It was built by
you.
No, wait. The fundamental question comes out here. Who built the Vishwanath temple, Lord Vishwanath temple? It was Ahilya Bai who built it.
No.
100
That was on the side. That was on the side, sir. Please,
wait,
because you kept
I'm
demolishing
coming to
these
that point. Come on, you don't
temples.
want to-
That particular temple was constantly demolished, and at every demolition, after every demolition,
No, you
a
can
Hindu,
say-
a
you
Hindu
can
came
say
and built that smaller version of the temple to the point where the last one was built by the Holkars. But you know, you're not answering my question. What are you hanging on to? Symbols of the desecration of another faith that you want to seemingly live in amity with? Is that what you're hanging on to? Explain to me, answer.
Rahul, if that gives
Okay.
a amity within Indian society, are you going to be an Alauddin Khilji?
Okay,
Or
one
are you
second,
going
one
to be a
second,
Razia
one second,
Sultana?
one second.
Or
This is
are you
bizarre.
going to be a Nawab
This
by
is bizarre.
demolishing
I
another
don't.
person's faith?
It's.
If the faith
but
is
this
there,
particular masjid.
1947
Okay, 1 minute. This masjid, from what we are told by all the great interpreters of scripture, is that when a mosque is constructed on a desecrated site, it has no religious sanctity. So why are you hanging on to them anyhow? You're not answering me this question because it is a moot question. I want to bring in Dr. Ranganathan. Dr. Ranganathan, what do you have to say today to Kamru Chaudhary, who has come up with some bizarre explanations and of course sidestepped neatly that question? He says, yes, I accept a court's ruling. But if that is the case, then why aren't they criticizing the Samajwadi party with which they're aligned, or break their alliance to say, look what you've done to a community?
Good evening, Rahul, and good evening to my fellow panelists, especially to Vishnu Jain. Congratulations, Vishnu ji, from all of us, all Indians, including Hindus and Muslims. Rahul, you asked a very pertinent question and you said that's the moot point, and I'll come to that and I promise you I'll answer that. But before that, Har Har Mahadev. You can subjugate 20 generations, but not the 21st to which Vishnu Jain belongs. This nation owes an insurmountable debt of gratitude, Rahul, to Vishnu Jain. Someday when we remember our heroes more than our tyrants, Vishnu's name will be right there at the very top. Keeping this most sacred of places away from Indians, not just Hindus, Indians, because this is a civilizational issue, not just a religious one. It is untenable now. Among the hundreds of Hindu murals, reliefs, idols, plaques, inscriptions discovered by the ASI recently inside the Gyanvapi, Rahul, there is this sandstone tablet that reads, and I quote, by order, this mosque was built in 1676, the 20th regnal year of Aurangzeb, unquote. So much for the Intezamia and Muslim side claiming the mosque was built by Akbar. Rahul, I repeat, it is beyond any doubt, in fact, written in the most authentic biography of Aurangzeb, Masir-e-Alamgiri, that in 1669, on orders of Aurangzeb, the Kashi Vishwanath temple was demolished. The Farman is also archived in Bikaner archives, and Jadunath Sarkar's translation of Masir-e-Alamgiri, page 52, I quote, Aurangzeb, eager to establish Islam, issued orders to the governors of all provinces to demolish the schools and temples of the infidels, and with the utmost urgency put down the teachings and the public practice of the religion of these misbelievers, unquote. Let me give you a few facts very briefly before I come to address your final point. Number one, Hindus have been worshipping Ma Shingar Gauri inside the so-called Gyanvapi mosque almost every day before 1993 and once a year after 1993. Religious character of the Gyanvapi structure has therefore always been Hindu. But there is more. Number two, a little distance away from Ma Gauri is the wuzu where Muslims have been washing their dirty feet. In this wuzu was discovered the shivling that Muslims claim is a fountain. Number three, a little distance away still is this Vyas Parivar Tehkana. The Vyas Parivar was worshipping in that cellar till November 1993 when, ironically, in grave violation of Section 3 of the Places of Worship Act itself, the Mulayam Singh government threw out the Vyas Parivar from their own cellar. Did the religious character of the place not change then? Number 4. Further violations of Place of Worship Act were committed against Hindus. The chopping of the sacred people tree, as Vishnu said, the removal of Ganesh idol and the Hanuman idol. But it is the Hindus who have been taught that they are violating the Place of Worship Act by changing the religious character of the mosque. Rahul, now I come to your final point, which is the most important moot point. Just 30 seconds. I have said this before and I repeat. Nations weaken not because of their past, but rather by how they are taught it. And for 70 years, we have been taught to forget historical injustices. Somnath to Kashi Vishwanath, Babarpur to Bakhtiyarpur, Allahabad to Aurangabad, Martan to Mathura. These injustices have deliberately been made visible as though to lionize the debasement, celebrate the humiliation. If the Muslims wanted, they could have removed all idols from Gyanvapi or the Jain and Hindu relics from the Quwwatul-ul-Islam Mosque in Qutub Minar, but they didn't. You know why? Because they wanted to humiliate the Hindus, lionize the debasement. In the end, their hubris has led to their downfall.
I object to
No,
that.
one second. No, 1 second. You didn't answer the question. You would have had the moral right to object had you answered the question. 1 second. Vishnu Jain ji, you see, Dr. Ranganathan today has talked about...
27 Jain temples were destroyed and their relics were used to build that Quwwatul-ul-Islam Mosque. And ask Amru Chaudhary what Quwwatul-ul-Islam means.
Okay, 1 second. Vishnu Shankar Jain ji, let me say, Dr. Ranganathan has invoked history. But I want to remind you, 10 years ago, when I and you would talk about these issues in another channel, in a previous avatar, I'm taking you back 10, 11 years. You know what they would say? They would say, why are you inviting these Hindu radicals and supremacists? And they called me a facilitator of Islamophobia. Now, when the courts have held up cases that were being prosecuted by Vishnu Jain and his father, Hari Shankar ji, and when the courts have rubber stamped all that he was saying and given Hindus justice, will these same people call out Hindu phobia? They used to call us Islamophobes, now will they call out Hindu phobia? They won't. Will they? Mr. Jain, will they? I'm asking you.
See, the irony is, Rahul, that I have participated with you on various news channels and debates 10 years back also, and at that time I was called as a fringe element.
Yes.
And I have taken that with lot of sense of modesty. But the point here is this, I want to ask a question to Mr. Chaudhary, and what pains me today is the statement by Mr. Chaudhary. He seems to be a very well educated man. He says that the Places of Worship Act was enacted to preserve the Muslim culture and heritage. Sir, I want to ask you with lot of sense of humility, that where under the Places of Worship Act it is written that it is brought to enact or to preserve your culture or to a Muslim culture. Places of Worship Act does not use the word Hindu or Muslim. It says the religious character of a place as existing on 15th August 1947 will remain the same. Now, Rahul, whatever I am stating today before you is not just my argument. Today, those arguments have been supported by the Honorable Court. The Honorable District Court of Varanasi on 12th of September 2022 has held that in this case Places of Worship Act is not attracted. The Honorable Allahabad High Court on 31st of May 2023 has held that in this case Places of Worship Act is not attracted for a simple reason, as elaborated by Mr. Ranganathan, my very well learned friend. And third important point, the judgment of Honorable Allahabad High Court recently on 17th of December, in which you had also debated and organized a show, that has also said that the Places of Worship Act does not bar from ascertaining the religious character. So, this is the entire exercise to ascertain the religious character of this disputed place, because if you will see what the Archaeological Survey of India has said, you are finding in the ASI survey, without even digging an excavation, you are finding idols of Lord Hanuman, Lord Ganesh, Vishnu Bhagwan's idol, Krishna Bhagwan's idol, various Hindu deities are found from that cellar. And let me tell you, these idols were dated also. And the ASI gave a report that it is a post-medieval period. So when ASI has inspected the spot, after inspecting the spot, if you bring any company in the world, any expert agency in the world, they will say कि भाई ये हनुमान जी की मूर्ति है तो है, अगर गणेश भगवान की मूर्ति है तो वो है, उसमें कोई भी एक्सपर्ट एजेंसी क्या कह सकती है. और कौन सी ऐसी मस्जिद है, which is the mosque in this country where you are finding from the basement, from the ground floor, various Hindu idols still located. without even excavation. So my point is that Gyanvapi is not a mosque. Gyanvapi is a temple, and Hindu Shastric niyam is that once a temple, always a temple. If you have destroyed a temple, if you have tried to convert a temple just by your entering into a temple premises and offering namaz, would not change the religious character of a temple. It will remain to be intact of a religious character of a Hindu temple. And precisely that's what our case is before the Honorable District Court, High Court and Supreme Court.
A deity's rights exist in perpetuity. This is basic law. Now, 1 second. I want to bring in Mr. Chaudhary. Mr. Chaudhary, you evaded my question the first time. I'm coming back and asking you, and Farhan Saab also. I'm coming to ask you a question also. But first, Mr. Chaudhary, you said that you believe in the courts and what they have to say. Now, the courts have ruled today. So, I'm going to ask you, do you believe that the Samajwadi Party was Hindu-phobic when it decided to bar Hindus?
Can I ask you a counter question? Is the Modi government Islamophobic?
Arey dekho bhai.
This is a political question. You are trying to mix the political.
No, I'm not. It's not a political question.
Asta issue.
Without any court backing, if a government and a party lock out a whole community, what would you call them, sir?
Wait, Rahul.
No, I'm asking you.
It's
a general knowledge question
that you are asking.
No, how is it irrelevant? How is it irrelevant?
Why are you mixing?
No, I'll tell you viewers, because I'll tell you viewers.
Into linking everything to the political parties. The political parties don't have any role in this except for maintaining the law and order.
Right.
Let the courts educate. But one thing, Rahul, let me put out on this show tonight.
Okay.
Can I just ask
Yes, doctor.
Indians,
ask a question because he's not going to answer you. Whataboutery has become the next. No. Has become the gospel. Yes, Dr. Ranganathan will ask you a counter question. You please answer. Yes.
Kamruji is a very dear friend, very elderly person, erudite person, and I'm sure he will not refuse answering my question. It's a very simple question. Kamruji, if Narendra Modi government, let me rephrase your question for your own benefit. If the Narendra Modi government were to suddenly stop Muslims from offering namaz in Jama Masjid, do you think the Narendra Modi government is Islamophobic?
Tell me all the schemes that the Narendra Modi government is implementing
or keeping
silent.
Okay, forget it, Mr. Chaudhary. This is not a platform for you to drag in extraneous issues. We will have other conversations with you on extraneous issues. I'll give you a standing invitation. I'll give you a standing invitation. I am launching a weekend show. I will call you. For that weekend show, I promise you, very soon, in a couple of weeks. No, please listen to Mr. Chaudhary. Let us not today pullulate this debate. It's a very straight and focused debate with all the extraneous rubbish. No, please.
Just 10 seconds.
No, what 10 seconds? Take 20, but answer my question.
Promise, I will take 10 seconds. Listen. First and foremost, let it be known clear that there are a lot of historical injustices done prior to 1947, be it the Mughal rule or be it the British rule. But we, as Indians of 2024, of course, we have a right to know what happened in our history. But I believe we do not have a right to correct that history. That's my limited point, sir.
Wow. So, a counter question.
No.
Do you think there should be reservations to correct historical injustices?
No, just ask another. Should there have been justice in the Gujarat riot cases? Yes or no? Biggest injustice took place there. Should have been.
Of course it should have been. Why not then?
Because it applies to you.
Massacre?
Oh, come on.
Why
yes, why not? Why not? Go into all these massacres.
No.
Go. I'm not stopping you.
It's a simple point.
There should be justice for everybody. What kind of... Farhan Saab. Let me bring in Farhan Saab. No, 1 second. We've had one signal outage with Farhan Saab. I need to bring him in. He is from the MIM party. Farhan Saab, can you hear me? Okay, we're trying to get him back. No, 1 second. Let's go back. 1 second. Mr. Chaudhary, Dr. Ranganathan. Dr. Ranganathan, look, we can indulge in whataboutery tonight. Mr. Chaudhary is within his rights. It's a free country. You can say, you can call out people for being anti-Muslim, Islamophobic, etc. But I want to ask you, Dr. Ranganathan, what is the problem of when it comes to correcting historical injustices? I thought that the Congress party backed the BLM movement in the United States, where they wanted to pull down the statues of oppressors of black people. Did they not? Am I lying?
No, but there are 2 points here to swiftly answer your very pertinent point. What is the problem? And the problem is written in stone. It is consecrated for more than 1,000 years. The point of, and let me give you one example. Iqbal, the famous extremist poet, he is I'm quoting him now. He says, "My sole purpose in life is to purge infidelity and break the idols." I'm paraphrasing him right now. And who was he? His grandfather was a Kashmiri Hindu. Like your grandfather was Kashmiri Hindu. It just takes 2 generations because you are forced to reject every civilization sinew that you have ever carried in your, in your viscera. That is the problem, Rahul. And let me also tell you.
No, when they were taking back, Dr. Ranganathan, when they were taking back Hagia Sophia, when they were taking back Sancta Sophia, then they were not correcting the wrongs of history. When they were taking back, hang on, when they were knocking down the Bamiyan Buddhas, what were they doing? When they come into India, declaring Ghazwa-e-Hind, what historical correction are they making? Isn't it quite clear, viewers? They have a problem today that Hindus are living
I think
absolute
Rahul,
freedom.
The solution has been provided by the brilliant, our leaders, I would call him, like Vishnu and Sai and so many others. They are fighting each case legally. That is the way to go. Because not an inch will be given from the other side. Not an inch.
Not an inch.
So you have to fight it legally. Each and every battle.
And you know what? In fact, since we are having an interesting discussion and we have a similar theme discussion right now, going into the second part, Kamru Chaudhary ji, you stay on with us, please. Your valuable insights on that one will also illuminate the conversation. So please stay on, don't disconnect. I want you to stay on. We're continuing with another strand of the Place of Worship Act and this entire issue. Dr. Ranganathan will also stay on. Viewers, as the road to reclaiming Kashi opens, a debate is raging in the Hindu ecosphere. The debate has been sparked by lawyer practicing in the Supreme Court, J. Sai Deepak, you can see him there in the middle of your screens, who said 2 days ago on this show that he and fellow lawyer Vishnu Shankar Jain were of the opinion that the quest for reclaiming Hindu sites should not stop at just 3 temples or 3 Hindu places of worship which are consequential, but include all 30,000 to 40,000 desecrated temples. J. Sai Deepak's views matter because he is also the counsel for the royal family of Kashi in the case and is demanding a constitutional review of the Place of Worship Act 1991. I hope I've got that right, but that's what I read. Now first listen into J. Sai Deepak making that emphatic and audacious statement to me on the hard facts just 2 days ago, viewers. That interview has of course gone viral. Listen in. You say that if a structure is deemed to be more than 100 years old, the Place of Worship Act doesn't apply. But correct. The Supreme Court judgment seems to at least uphold in spirit, I'm not saying letter, in spirit, the Place of Worship Act 1991 with a view to ensuring communal harmony and the provisos of the Constitution that apply to the preservation of our secular ethos. How do we get around this?
So before I answer that question, let me just, let's say, advertise myself a bit. I have written an article which was published barely a few days ago, I think on the 24th of January, explaining this position in the Open magazine, capturing my arguments in detail with respect to the Places of Worship Act, giving 3 different layers of arguments as to why none of those provisions come in the way of reclamation of sites such as Kashi and Mathura. And allow me to say this, my position, and I agree with Vishnu on this, and I think he agrees with me on this, is that we are not just looking at Kashi and Mathura, we are looking at 40,000 sites across the board. Because no one can make a concession on behalf of anybody else. It's like saying, Rahul Shiv Shankar has a dispute with his neighbor on ownership of property. Sai Deepak steps into the picture on behalf of Rahul Shiv Shankar and says, you know what, let's maintain peace and harmony. I will concede this land on behalf of Rahul Shiv Shankar. Who am I to do that? Right? It's a property dispute. It's an ownership of religious property. Therefore, no third party, even if he happens to be or they happen to be the representatives of Hindu or Hindutva according to them, can make any concession on behalf of those interested in reclamation of these sites, because it is for the devout, it's for the owners of the property to reclaim. Nobody can make the concession on anybody's behalf.
Viewers, J. Sai Deepak's views, of course, great against the likes of RSS Chief Mohan Bhagwat and a number of observers who feel that looking under every mosque might risk losing the communal peace across the country. Here, for example, is what Mohan Bhagwat has said in an interview about 2 years ago. He said, and I quote, "Gyanvapi has a history which we can't change now. Issues of temples which hold special significance in the hearts of Hindus are now being raised. Many feel what was done was to break Hindu morale. A section of Hindus now feels that temples should be reconstructed. One should not raise the new issue every day. On Gyanvapi, what we are doing is fine, but why look for a shivling in every mosque?" Unquote. Of course, many Hindus like J. Sai Deepak clearly don't agree with Bhagwat. They claim that if in Islam a mosque is not considered kosher, if it is built on a desecrated site, then it ceases to remain a holy place. Such places which hold no religious significance to Muslims can then be easily relinquished to Hindus in an act of good faith to rectify the wrongs of history. After all, why would today's Muslims want to hang on to a symbol of anti-Hindu bigotry? In fact, Muslims have been advised by leading lights of their own community to trust their Hindu co-citizens and try to earn their goodwill. Here are the stirring words of Begum Azaz Rasool, who was a Constituent Assembly member, viewers. She was part of the Muslim League. She gave it up. She said, and I quote, "I feel it is in the interest of minorities to try to merge themselves into the majority community. It is not going to be harmful to Muslims, I assure them, because in the long run, it will be in their interest to win the goodwill of the majority community," unquote. So viewers, having heard that, having heard Madam Rasool's advice, let's open this up. Let's ask some fundamental questions. How far should we go? Dr. Ranganathan, how far should we go? Should we end with Kashi or Mathura, just 3, and let it go as Mohan Bhagwat ji has said, or should we go beyond?
Rahul, when one goes by logic, morality, first principles, objectivity, as science and the law teach one to do, numbers don't matter. Numbers must not matter. 4 or 40,000 or 4 million or 40 million, each and every cry for justice must be heard. But when one goes by fear, emotion, coercion, subjectivity, scaremongering, numbers matter. So we need to decide where we stand. Will you, for example, say, let us demand reopening of just 3 cases of atrocities against Kashmiri Hindus, only the most prominent ones, of Neelkant Ganju, Girija Tikku, Lassa Kaul. No need to trigger confrontation and hurt sentiments of the other community by asking for reopening of 29,997 other cases. Will you do that? Does justice work that way? Who is to decide that this case has to be opened and looked into and this one not? That is travesty of justice itself. So on the evening that Dr. Mohan Bhagwat said that, I was so outraged, I came on your show and I blasted him in kind words. Can't even remember what words I blasted him in, but that was outrageous. Because which is the most glorious of temples? Some people might say that my Kul Devta's temple for me is more precious than Ram Lalla's temple, and he or she might be justified in saying so. And is it not humiliation? Is it not lionizing the debasement that every time that person visits his Kuldev, he sees a mosque there in place of the temple, or people washing their dirty feet where the shivling is? Who is to decide? Who is to get justice? Everyone who cries and knocks at the door of the court must be addressed. That is my standing first principle, and I stick by that forever.
Okay. Mr. Sanjeev Srivastava, leading journalist, senior journalist, you've covered some of these times when Ayodhya played out. You were there. How do you see this? Should a line be drawn in the stone, or should it remain in the shifting sands of time?
So, I never thought that there will be an issue in which I will be fully with Mr. Mohan Bhagwat. So the simple reason is that how far we go back how many cases we open. I listened to Anand's argument, and like always, there is sound logic and in the manner in which he puts his thoughts across. But then there is no end. What about the other temples or other places of worship, the Buddhist or the other thing? So this is an endless cycle of retribution. So, and then we have our own constitution and we have this Places of Religious Worship Act. I may be getting the name of the act wrong, but the idea was that let status quo be remained. But I am fully with the Hindu thought, if you may, on the key temples, whether it's Ram temple in Ayodhya, Ramlala, or Gyanvapi, or Mathura, or even the 5 more such places come up which kind of convince your logic. But if every place of worship, like Anand says, that numbers shouldn't matter, it should be justice. But this is not justice of some 10 years, 20 years back. You can't go back centuries in history and ask for retribution. Then somebody may, instead of 500 years, somebody may like to go back 2000 years. And then, so that's an endless vicious cycle. And when the Prime Minister and the whole, we are talking about a $10 trillion economy, digital India, make in India. So is this make in India all about converting places of worship? So I think we need to be sensible about it. We need to be rational. We need to put an end to this cycle. After having, and of course the minorities, you quoted Mrs. Rasool, Begum Rasool, if they had voluntarily given Ayodhya and Kashi and Mathura, then so many things would not have happened. But well, they also didn't learn their lesson. But the bottom line is that it cannot be an endless thing or a bottomless pit in terms of reopening cases, because there has to be some kind of a timeline respected.
Okay, I'll come to that point that you raised in the second half. Dr. Ranganathan wants to respond because I want to bring in Mr. Chaudhary on that last point. Yes, Dr. Ranganathan.
Couple of points. Sanjeev is a wonderful friend, very erudite. But, you know, Sanjeev, when he talks about, we are not talking of recent cases. Well, as Sanjeev, you know, that the Supreme Court twice, not just once, has refused to reopen cases of even of Kashmiri Hindus' atrocities against them because it says too much time has elapsed. So forget about looking at 500 years. Supreme Court is saying, I'm not even prepared to look back 33 years. So this kind of double speak and double standards has to be removed whenever somebody is asking for justice. Secondly, you said, चलो 3 ले लो, चलो उसके बाद 5 और ले लो. चलो ऐसा करते हैं, धनिया और मिर्ची की तरह 3 और फेंक देता हूं. What is going on out here? Are we, you know, reduced ourselves to vegetable sellers ki chalo ye 5 और ले लेते हैं, 6 और ले लेते हैं. I'm sorry, justice doesn't work that way because that is not democracy. In democracy, everyone has the right to approach the law. We are not saying somebody is going to take over these places of worship that have been, you know, built upon demolished temples. We are legitimately asking for a right to approach the court. What is wrong in that?
That's an interesting point.
It creates bad blood.
It creates bad
because
blood.
It is endless. What if a Buddhist turns up and says that, okay, this Hindu temple was not there, it was a Buddhist place of worship?
Just 10 seconds.
And
just 10 seconds. Steve, that's a very important question you asked, and I want to address that because I have said this, and Rahul knows this, Kamruji knows this. I have said, for me, it is a civilizational issue, not a Hindu issue. If a Muslim brother or sister of mine were to come to me and say that there is a mosque that was demolished by a Hindu king and he built a temple over it, I have said this publicly. I will go with him to the court to seek justice. So this is not a Hindu issue for me at all. And secondly, I want to point you, Sanjeev, my dear friend, to what Mr. Sitaram Goyal threw a challenge to Ramila Thapar. Show me one Buddhist temple, Buddhist shrine that was demolished by Hindus. She was not able to show even one. So this bogey that Hindus destroy Buddhist temples, this canard has been going on for decades. This has to be laid to rest as well.
Okay. Kamru Chaudhary, look, if in Islam, and you have testified to this, a mosque is not considered kosher. If it is built on a desecrated site, then it ceases to remain a holy place. Obviously, such places, and I presume you would agree with me, would hold no religious meaning to Muslims at all. Can then they be easily relinquished? Maybe a third way, which is a way that we always dance around. I don't know why we dance around this. It creates bad blood. What creates bad blood is, viewers, history, unaddressed. We are constantly told कि भाई peace and reconciliation का एक commission बना लो. That's what Kashmiri Hindus have been told ad nauseum. अब तो judges ने भी बता दिया है. उसमें पहला सवाल ये होता है कि if there has to be reconciliation, there has to be a semblance of the truth and justice. Someone has to speak the truth, someone has to say, हाँ भाई, some of these mosques were constructed over temples that were deliberately demolished. There were no real sites for us to be involved in. It wasn't as if, it was a holy place for Muslims, but they were demolished to show that we were the rulers and to perhaps break the morale of the Hindu community. And if that is the case, Mr. Chaudhary, then why not just give them back? That would be, as Begum Rasool said, why don't you work to integrate?
Rahul, first and foremost, as I said earlier in your show, we have got a right as an Indian to know what happened in the history. But do we have a right, as per our Indian constitution, to correct that in history? What happened 500, 600 years ago? As Anand says, this is a civilization.
Yes, actually, let me tell you, even the Places of Worship Act, Clause 3A. No, 1 second. Since you say we have a right or not, I'll tell you what Clause 3A says of the Places of Worship Act, sir. It makes a very, very clear distinction. If a place is deemed to be, and I'll just open it up. I just, in fact, have tweeted the exact terms of it also. But if it basically says that if, look, there is a structure that is thought to be historical in nature, then you can, it is exempted, just like the Ayodhya structure is from the Places of Worship Act. So now let me just quote it to you, and it will be very clear, sir. Because are you trying to tell me that, no, hang on, that the temple that has been found, the remains of the temple that have been found that date back to the medieval era are not more than 100 years old? Because if that is the case, sir, then of course we can't have a conversation if you are in that much denial. But let me just read this out to you because this is fundamentally important. It says, and 3A of the 1991 law, chapter and verse I am quoting to you. Nothing contained in subsection 1 and subsection 2 shall apply to any place of worship referred to in the said subsections, which is an ancient and historical monument or an archaeological site or remains covered by the Ancient Monuments and Archaeological Sites and Remains Act 1958, 24 of 1958 or any other law for the time being in force. So if this is a historical structure which is recognized as a ancient and historical monument, then sir, sorry to say, we are allowed to go to court and seek recompensation. The constitution allows us. Now answer. Chaudhary sir.
Rahul, it's your show. You can bring in your different angles of editorial. It doesn't matter. But you are missing out the basic essence of the POW Act 91.
Okay, sir.
Wherein it says, except for the Ram Mandir dispute. If I am not wrong, it's written specifically.
And sir, an exception made in 3A. I have read out the exception to you.
No, you can interfere the law as per your wishes. Let the court interfere the law as per its education. We all accept whatever the court will say. We accepted the Ram Mandir verdict. We will accept the Gyanvapi verdict. Don't be in any type of doubt on that issue. But when you are citing the POW Act, please also cite this, that it was specifically mentioned in the Act, except for Ram Mandir.
Yes, sir, because
all the other places of worship will be covered by the POW Act.
Even the
Now, Rahul, please, if you permit me, the basic important point that I am coming here. After the Nehru Liaquat Pact of 1950s, wherein Hindus and Muslims were given permission to go either way, Pakistan or in India, the Muslims of India stayed back. There were some specific guarantees given to them in the constitution, like the Waqf Act. Now you see,
Mr. Chaudhary, the Waqf Act actually empowers a community to take over any land, even the land of another community, if it thinks that it, of course it does, sir. And sir, again I will read out the clause, then you will say it is your interpretation. I don't know what to say here. You put a potato in my mouth every time. Anyhow, viewers, the fact is, okay, the fact is, viewers, fine, Mr. Chaudhary, you are absolutely right. I rest my case. Look, viewers, just think about it. It just makes for sound logical reasoning. If a place of worship doesn't matter to you, if it is only a sign, an eyesore in your brother's community, why won't you let it go? As children we are taught, let it go, bhai. If someone wants something more than you, let it go. It's a sign of maturity. Let it go. I will once again, viewers, read out this great constitutionalist. Since he is talking about the constitution, Mr. Chaudhary, stirring words of Begum Aizaz Rasool. I feel that it is in the interest, she said, of minorities to try to merge themselves into the majority community. It is not going to be harmful to Muslims, I assure them, because in the long run it will be their interest to win the goodwill of the majority community. Viewers, I leave you with her words. You can make what you want to. I'll take a short break. I'll be right back. Another very important story to report. Don't go away.
Co-powered by
because the government is not concerned about the sufferings of the people. People are unable to have their meals. They have no money to pay the electricity bills. They have no money to buy the necessary equipment for their children to go to school. So the whole country is suffering. But government seems to not understand the real situation in the country. So we expect the people to rise. The next election, the election year has already come. Next year, this year, people must think differently and take the correct decisions.
No, we are holding this demonstration because there's a government that are bankrupted the country. They have no solutions. They are like leeches holding on to power. We ask them to immediately go for an election and let the people decide who should rule the country in the next 5 years.
Because the government is not concerned about the sufferings of the people. People are unable to have their meals. They have no money to pay the electricity bills. They have no money to buy the necessary equipment for their children to go to school. So the whole country is suffering. But government seems to not understand the real situation in the country. So we expect the people to rise. The next election, the election year has already come. Next year, this year, people must think differently and take the correct decisions.
No, we are holding this demonstration because there's a government that are bankrupt the country. They have no solutions. They are like leeches holding on to power. We ask them to immediately go for an election and let the people decide who should rule the country.
Viewers, dramatic scenes outside the house of Hemant Soren, the Chief Minister of Jharkhand. He is being questioned by the Enforcement Directorate. Sources have told us that it's quite possible that he might be arrested tonight. We're also being told, viewers, that Hemant Soren's MLAs have sought time with the governor to meet him. There could be, if Hemant Soren is taken into custody, there could be a proxy who might be made Chief Minister. There are two names doing the rounds, but this matter has come to a head as Hemant Soren's entire cadre of his party have landed up and they are outside the gates of his residence. They are holding a long vigil. There is a tense atmosphere. The police has asked for reinforcements. There is a siege, virtually, viewers, in Ranchi as we speak. What is going to happen? No one knows. Will the day end with Mr. Soren in custody, in jail, or will it end with him coming out only to be summoned in the next few days? Incidentally, today the ED is also summoned Delhi Chief Minister Mr. Kejriwal. In the next few days, he's going to be questioned. There is an ongoing summons, of course, against the Yadavs in Bihar, both father and son. I leave it at this, viewers. Hectic parlays, lot happening. We'll be keeping track. Coming up, Anand Narsimhan on the right stand.